Next, we head to Kalkaska, Michigan for the sentencing of Keith Ferguson. The 40-year-old pled guilty of first and second-degree murder, the killing of his estranged wife, Tiffany Ferguson, as well as her father, James Weber. Ferguson shot his wife in front of their 4 children. Then, as she lay dying, Ferguson took the children to the home of his father-in-law and killed him. The children escaped to a neighbor's while Ferguson forced his way into a stranger's house and barricaded himself before finally surrendering to police.
Welcome to the heart-wrenching case of Keith Ferguson in Kalkaska, Michigan. The details of this crime are truly horrific. Ferguson, at just 40 years old, pleaded guilty to the first and second-degree murders of his estranged wife, Tiffany Ferguson, and her father, James Weber. The tragedy is compounded by the fact that he shot his wife in front of their 4 young children. After committing this unspeakable act, he drove the children to their grandfather's house and killed him as well. While the children thankfully escaped to a neighbor's house, Ferguson's actions left a trail of terror before he finally surrendered. The motive? A simple but fatal one. His wife had recently filed for divorce.
The motive, police believe, was that Tiffany had recently filed for divorce. At his arraignment, Ferguson had nothing but disdain for the judge and the court. When the judge tried to get Ferguson to participate in his own case, the behavior continued.
All right, Mr. Ferguson, can I get you to stand up there at the podium, please? All right, I need to have you raise your right hand for me. Okay, all right.
Just put me back in my cell.
Okay, stop.
In his initial court appearances, Ferguson showed nothing but pure disrespect. His behavior was shockingly defiant. He refused to stand, cursed, and showed utter disdain for the legal process. This complete lack of remorse and his explosive anger were on full display for everyone to see. It's an unnerving preview of the man behind the heinous crime. How can someone be so brazenly contemptuous in the face of such serious charges?
When it came to Ferguson's bond, the prosecution argued for the highest amount possible.
The fact that the defendant has already murdered multiple people and fled and has taken hostages, there's no doubt in my mind that this particular defendant has a high risk of non-appearance or danger to the public.
The judge agrees.
We have 2 murders. We have issues of flight, home invasion, kidnapping. I'm going to set it as a $10 million bond.
As part of Ferguson's guilty plea, a number of felony charges were dropped, including kidnapping and carrying explosives.
Given Ferguson's erratic and violent behavior, the prosecution argued for the highest possible bond, and the judge agreed. This was a clear sign that the court viewed him as an extreme danger to the community. He later pleaded guilty, a move that dropped some of the more serious charges, like kidnapping and carrying explosives. But this wasn't an act of contrition. It was a tactical move to streamline the process to sentencing.
On the day of his sentencing, Ferguson is much more civil than at previous court appearances. Before Judge George Mertz announces his sentence, Carla Seating, a friend of Tiffany Ferguson, delivers a powerful impact statement.
I knew one day you would kill her. She would always reply, "He loves his kids too much. He won't kill me." Well, we see how much you love them. You love them so much, you murdered their mother and grandfather.
On the day of his sentencing, Ferguson appeared surprisingly calm, a stark contrast to his previous outbursts. But this quiet demeanor was shattered by the powerful words of Carla, a friend of Tiffany Ferguson. Her victim impact statement was raw and emotional, recalling Tiffany's words that, "He won't kill me, he loves his kids too much." Carla's emotional testimony exposed the chilling hypocrisy of Ferguson's supposed love for his children, which was ultimately proven false by his actions.
Why? You could have just taken your own life and saved these poor kids, their grandmother, friends, and community a horrific pain. Do you have any idea of the emotional pain your kids have suffered and will continue to suffer their entire lives? Your Honor, on behalf of the kids, myself, and all of Tip's friends and family, please send Keith to prison for life without any chance for parole. Thank you.
Next,
Carla's testimony continued, asking the most profound questions. Do you have any idea of the emotional pain your kids have suffered? She asked, her voice filled with a mother's rage and a friend's sorrow. Her words were not just an indictment of Ferguson's actions, but a spotlight on the lifetime of pain he inflicted on his own children. It's a truly heartbreaking moment, reminding us that the victims of such crimes are not just those who lost their lives, but also those who are left behind to pick up the pieces.
it was the defendant's turn to speak, but there are no tears or apologies.
Tragedy. You know, like, just sends me, kill me, whatever. You know, and about the children, like,
They've been through enough. And it would be good for me to, I don't want them to see me.
When it was Ferguson's turn to speak, everyone was waiting for an apology, or at least some form of remorse, but none came. His words were a blur of inaudible mutterings, a final, chilling refusal to accept accountability or show any human emotion. The absence of an apology was perhaps the most damning testimony of all, a silent admission of his cold-hearted nature.
It was time for the judge to hand down the sentence. But first, he had a few words for Ferguson.
You may not meet the clinical definition of insanity, but there's clearly something fundamentally wrong with you. You're incapable of understanding that intentionally depriving an elderly woman of her husband, her mate for life, and 4 children of your mother, to satisfy your own selfish urges,
justice.
is something that deserves the most important and serious punishment. You'll never again have an opportunity to hurt any innocent people. You'll never again have the opportunity to be free.
The judge sentenced Ferguson to life in prison.
Finally, it was time for Judge George Mertz to deliver the sentence. But before he did, he had a few powerful words for Ferguson. The judge's voice was firm, his message clear. He was not just sentencing a man for a crime, but for the profound injustice and pain he had inflicted. The judge declared the final verdict: life in prison without parole. It was a just and fitting end to a case that had shocked the community to its core.